Hi, I'm Brodie, back in my shop. Mitch is behind the camera, taking care of all the video duties. What we're gonna do today is to make some acorn nuts. And these acorn nuts, they get used on a tiger cub. Usually what happens on here is that there's an oil line that goes like that. You can see how that fits. I don't have that. I've got this piece here. This was made by Webco. You see Webco right there? This was an aftermarket company based in California, I believe. And back in the 60s, maybe early 70s, they made all sorts of aftermarket things for English bikes and other bikes. So that's where the acorn nut goes. So I have these two acorn nuts, and they're in kind of sorry shape. It looks like someone has hit the end with a hammer. I also went on to eBay. It's not like they're a whole lot of money, but they're not really well made. So I thought it would be nice to actually make acorn nuts. I'm going to use some stainless steel here. So we're going to cut a hex, and then we'll machine out, put a thread in there. I've got the right size tap. This is BSC, I believe. I wanted to show you about the stainless. When I buy any of this at the shop, my local metal mart shop, there's black, and black is 303 stainless. Yellow is 304 stainless, and there's also a red. I wrote it down somewhere, and that's the 316. So there's basically 3 different kinds of stainless available. I know there's a lot more, but these are the basic ones. This is easy for machining, and how I know this is because when I was building the Excelsior, I spent quite a bit of time looking in this book, Encore Metals, and they talk all about what's inside, what is the composition and things like that. Anyway, all the elements are in there, and what I found out about the 303 is that it has extra sulfur in there. The sulfur is what makes it easy for machining. 304 stainless is used in the shipyard industry a lot because it's good against corrosion from salt water, things like that. And there's the 316. That's for the high heat application, like in a turbine or something like that. So I made an assumption. I assumed that because this was the softest one, and it's the 303, that it was also the weakest one. And I looked through the book and I found out that all three, 303, 304, 316, they're all about the same tensile strength. It's up in the 80,000, 85,000 tensile strength. There's a little bit of variation, but this is not weaker. It just machines better. It's not so good in high heat, not so good in salt water. So anyway, this is what I'm going to use because it works just fine. So the first thing we're going to do is to go over to the mill. We're going to mill some flats on this in the rotary table. So follow me over there. Thanks for coming along. I'm going to make these the Whitworth size. Then it's kind of standard. Okay, let's see how this cuts. Okay, so every 60 degrees. This is the test. Oh, look at that. tiny little bit of play. That's okay. So we have a hex. You just have to take off the burrs there. We're going to make a thread, a hole, a thread, then cut it off. And then I'm going to show you how we make the dome. You might find that interesting. Okay, so that's how long it's going to be. And so we're going to drill into, not quite there. I'm only going to start the tap, then I'll take it over to the bench vise and we'll finish tapping there. This is not my tap, I borrowed it, so I need to be careful with it. Okay, it started, so we're going to cut this off now, 0.55. And then we'll go back and we'll thread the other piece, and then we'll be back in the lathe. Okay, we're bottomed. I don't have a bottoming tap like I thought I would. I borrowed some taps and I got the wrong size. I got a 9/32, which is very close to 5/16, but not the same. So I think this will work though. All right, the dome is going to be 1/2 inch in OD. So that means I have to machine that down, and then I have to go in a little bit more than half of that, which is 1/4 inch. Because then when I make the radius, then it all works out nicely. So that's the dome and the hex stays. So here's my little tool that I made. I made this several years ago. And can you see there's a tool bit there? This is high-speed steel. It's got a nice little radius there. Can you see how that moves? All that holds this on is grease. That's all it is. So it's a little bit iffy. I have to take very small cuts, and I have to press down on this because it can move up. And I don't want it to move up. So here we go. Here comes the acorn. This tool here needs a very little gap between it and the work. So that's why I have this on here. This has to be extended out because I can't have this into the chuck because otherwise the tool is going to hit the jaws of the chuck. So I put the paper in there and I make it so that I'm almost touching. There we go. I can feel it. So I start out here and I take cuts. I'm going to put some gloves on because this is a little sketchy. So what I'm doing is, see, I got a thumb and a finger. I'm pressing down, and the palm is on the lever here. So 1, 2. So it's 1, 2, and 3. That's where the pressure is. A little stressful, but you know, it just needs a little bit of a polish now. It shines up quite nicely, so let's take it off. I need to round those a little bit with a very small file, so that can happen later. There we go. This one needs just a little polish on the top there. But that's basically how we make acorn nuts. We're going to see how this fits, see how it looks. I know I need a fiber washer, but I just got a regular washer. This, once again, is mock-up. And I can just get my wrench in there like this. They don't leave a lot of space. So there. I'm quite pleased. We have a little bit of extra time on our hands now because this went so well and quick. Look at this tiger cub here. We got kind of a bare frame, but in the background here I have a Fender, an oil tank, gas tank, license plate holder. Why don't we put that stuff on and just see what it looks like, okay? Let's do that. Wash my hands, little assembly. This is mock-up. I've had this apart quite a few times. This is the old head. I got the new one having the valve seats done, valve guides, valve seats. Okay, so this can go into the frame. So that didn't take that long. I'm trying hard not to scratch the paint. There we go. I've been pretty careful when I put things together like this and taking them apart, but I have nicks and scratches in the paint. It's almost impossible not to get little scratches and stuff, so it is what it is, and did not get upset. Okay, I'm going to take off the back wheel now so I can put on the fender, but I want to show you this. I've got a new hub. See all this where the bolts go in for the sprocket? See this one? See how every one is broken and snapped off. I think what happened was I think someone was riding the bike and the sprocket bolts were all loose and they just kept riding them, and it just, every single one is broken. So I've ordered new spokes. This is going to get painted. So license plate, or the tail light, over the license plate. I have an old collector plate, but I thought we'd just put that on there, and so you can see how the license plate is going to fit. I was at a swap meet and someone gave me this, very nice. So how you put on a decal like this, you don't want to put your fingers on the back. So this is what I do. I take the backing, I rip it in half. I still haven't, see, I don't have any fingerprints on there. And then I do that. And then I do that. And now I can hold it and move it around. I don't get any fingerprints on there, because if you get a fingerprint on there, it doesn't stick as well. So try and find the middle. That looks okay to me. And then you press down in the middle, you peel it off. That's how I put on a decal. This is the first time the carb's been on the engine with a velocity stack. Kind of hard to see over there. There we go. It's not easy to put the tank on. You can't just put it on. It has to go on the front first, and it's got to go up and forward a little bit so that this clears the seat mount, and then it rests down there. So it's not the easiest tank to put on. I could sand it a bit more, but it is a stress member. There you go. Now it fits. All stainless. I like stainless. Okay, there's the oil tank. I still have to work on the oil lines. Don't have those set up yet. So let's put the wheel back in now, just loosely. Oh, look at that. It just squeaks in there. That's kind of nice. I got a long thread here for some reason, so I got to make a spacer to go in there. This is the seat that came with it, and it looks fairly new. You can see how it mounts. It's got these 8x1 cold roll flat bars coming down, so we'll put it on. And I don't like it. I don't like it much at all. Do you see? Because these mounts aren't down all the way onto the bolts. And you see how the fender has a curve to it and the seat is straight? It needs to come up and over the fender. And then at the front here, it's hitting the tank. So it's gonna rub the paint off there. So upcoming episode, we're gonna make a seat base. And the seat base is gonna be made out of carbon fiber. So we're gonna make a mold out of aluminum welding rod and hot glue gun. And then I'll finish off the mold, and then we'll make the actual seat base out of carbon fiber. How does that sound? Anyway, that's coming up. So you get an idea now what the Cub's gonna look like. I like it. Don't like the seat, but the rest of it I think is looking fine. I hope you've enjoyed hanging out in the shop here with us, me and Mitch, building a Cub and making acorn nuts. We like coffee. If you buy us coffees, that really helps a lot. We appreciate it. See you next time. Take care.